Okay, so reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.11.13 to 1.11.23. 13. गोपुरद्वारगमार्गेषु ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय गोपुरद्वारमार्गेषु पृथक् उत्तुक तोरणाम् चित्रध्वज पताकाग्रै अन्तः प्रतिहता तपाम्. What is this? Why is it like this? Well, also 11 also. Okay, the texts with 11 in Sanskrit, they are actually continuation of this text. This text is what? Text 10. Yes. In Sanskrit, the sentence is continuing. The city gateway, the household doors, and festooned arches, along with the roads, were all nicely decorated with festive signs, like plantain trees and banana leaves, all to welcome the Lord. Flags, garlands, and signs painted with slogans all combined to shade the sunshine. Gopuram Puradwaram, Dwaram Brihadwaram, Pritani Kautikena Utsavena Toranani. Okay, how does proper translate Torana? Toran, decorated arches. Okay, so they were decorated arches simply out of the spirit of celebration. Gauradi Chikhnam Dwaja. The flags were marked with signs of Garuda and so on. Jayaprada Yantrankitah Pataka. The flags were painted with yantras that bestow victory. Yantras are certain geometrical figures which are provided in the Vedic body of knowledge, which provide certain effects. Chitranam dhvaja patakanam agrair antah pratihata atapo yasyam tam. The household doors also includes doors for temples or mansions. Mandira can refer to temple, but mandira can also refer to mansions, large houses. Even the Toran has decorated arches, and they were charming with pearls. So, yeah. So these slogans, they were all bestowing victory. Signs of decoration and special festivals were also collected from the gifts of nature, such as the plantain trees, the mango trees, fruits, and flowers. Mango trees, coconut palms, and plantain trees are still accepted as auspicious signs. The flags mentioned above were all painted with the picture of either Garuda or Hanuman, the two great servitors of the Lord. By devotees, such paintings and decorations are still adored, and thus the servitor of the master is paid more respects for the satisfaction of the Lord. 14. Samarjit Mahamarga Rathyapanaka Satwaram Siktam Gandha Jalairuktam Phalapushpa Shartankurai. The highways, subways, lanes, markets, and public meeting places were all thoroughly cleansed and then moistened with scented water. And to welcome the Lord, fruits, flowers, and unbroken seeds were strewn everywhere. They were all thoroughly cleansed, means that dust was removed from them. The highways refer to the routes through which the king travels. Scented waters prepared by distilling flowers like rose and keora. What is keora? Were requisitioned to wet the roads, streets, and lanes of Dwarakadham. Such places, along with the marketplace and public meeting places, were thoroughly cleansed. From the above description, it appears that the city of Dwarakadham was considerably big, containing many highways, streets, and public meeting places with parks, gardens, and reservoirs of water, all very nicely decorated with flowers and fruits. And to welcome the Lord, such flowers and fruits with unbroken seeds of grain were also strewn over the public places. Unbroken seeds of grain or fruits in the seedling stage were considered auspicious, and they are still so used by the Hindus in general on festival days. They're called akshata. In places like in Karnataka, when you go to the Madhu temples, they will give you akshata and give you unbroken grains. Usually they are smeared with turmeric. They're offered. You're supposed to place them on your head, on top of your head. 15. Dwari dwari grihanam cha dadhyakshata phalekshubhihi alankritam purnakumbhair balibhir dhupadeepakai. In each and every door of the residential house, auspicious things like yogurt, unbroken fruits, sugarcane, and full water pots with articles for worship, along with incense and candles, were all displayed. Okay, I'll just read out this purport, go to the next verse, and then come to the acharyas, previous acharya. The process of reception according to Vedic rites is not at all dry. The reception was made not simply by decorating the roads and streets as above mentioned, but by worshipping the Lord with the requisite ingredients like incense, lamps, and flowers, along with sweets, fruits, and other palatable eatables, according to one's capacity. All were offered to the Lord, and the remnants of the foodstuff were distributed amongst the gathering citizens. So it was not like a dry reception of these modern days. Each and every house was ready to receive the Lord in a similar way, and thus each and every house on the roads and streets distributed such remnants of food to the citizens. And therefore, the festival was successful. Without distribution of food, no function is complete, and that is the way of Vedic culture. What is there? Here there are two verses, so then I should complete this and then go to the previous Acharya's explanations. 16 and 17. Nishamya preshthamayantam Vasudevo Mahamana Akruraschokrasenascha Ramaschadbhuta Vikramaha, Pradyumnascharudeshnascha, Sambojambavati Sutaha, Praharsha Vegot Chasita, Shayanasana Bhojana. Okay, this is a new sentence in Sanskrit. On hearing that, the most dear Krishna was approaching Dwarka Dham. Magnanimous Vasudeva, Akrura, Ugrasen, Balaram, the superhumanly powerful, Pradyumna, Charudeshna, and Samba, the son of Jambavati, all extremely happy, abandoned, resting, sitting, and dining. Prabhupada then provides character sketches which are very useful. Vasudeva, son of King Shurasen, husband of Devaki, and father of Lord Sri Krishna. He is the brother of Kunti and father of Subhadra. Subhadra was married with her cousin Arjuna, and this system is still prevalent in some parts of India. In South India, it's still there. I don't know in North whether it's going on. The a cousin who belongs to a different gotra is marriageable. Vasudeva was appointed minister of Ugrasena. Later on, he married 8 daughters of Ugrasen's brother, Devaka. Devaka is only one of them. Kamsa was his brother-in-law, and Vasudeva accepted voluntary imprisonment by Kamsa on mutual agreement to deliver the 8th son of Devaki. This was foiled by the will of Krishna. As maternal uncle of the Pandavas, he took active parts in the purificatory process of the Pandavas. He sent for the priest Kashyapa at the Shatashringa Parvata, and he executed the functions. And he executed the function means Kashyapa executed the functions. When Krishna appeared within the bars of Kamsa's prison house, he was transferred by Vasudeva to the house of Nanda Maharaj, the foster father of Krishna, at Gokula. Krishna disappeared along with Baladev prior to the disappearance of Vasudeva, and Arjuna, Vasudev's nephew, undertook the charge of the funeral ceremony after Vasudeva's disappearance. These details are there in Mahabharata. Akrura, the commander-in-chief of the Vrishni dynasty and a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Akrura attained success in devotion service to the Lord by the one single process of offering prayers. I know there are a few devotees who, every time they go to Vrindavan, they first read out, while they are going to Vrindavan, just before they enter into Vrindavan, they read out that entire chapter in Krishna book containing Akrura's prayers. He was a husband of Sutani, daughter of Ahuka. Ahuka is another name of Ugrasen. He supported Arjuna when Arjuna took Subhadra forcibly away by the will of Krishna. Both Krishna and Akrura went to see Arjuna after his successful kidnapping of Subhadra. Both of them presented dowries to Arjuna after this incident. Akrura was present also when Abhimanyu, the son of Subhadra, was married with Uttara, mother of Maharaj Parikshit. Ahuka, the father-in-law of Akrura, was not on good terms with Akrura, but both of them were devotees of the Lord. Ugrasen, one of the powerful kings of the Vrishni dynasty and cousin of Maharaj Kunti Bhoja. His other name is Ahuka. There's a question here. Why they only read Akrura prayers? Well, Akrura was successful, but he attained the perfection of life by offering prayers. So his prayers are definitely pleasing. So some devotees, they recite Akrura's prayers. There are many other prayers. Ugrasen, one of the powerful kings of the Vrishni dynasty and cousin of Maharaj Kunti Bhoja. His other name is Ahuka. His minister was Vasudeva, and his son was a powerful Kamsa. This Kamsa imprisoned his father and became the king of Mathura. By the grace of Lord Krishna and his brother, Lord Baladev, Kamsa was killed, and Ugrasena was reached out of the throne. So Krishna personally killed Kamsa, but Baladev killed certain other adversaries. When Shalva attacked the city of Dwaraka, Ugrasen fought very valiantly and repulsed the enemy. Ugrasen inquired from Naradaji about the divinity of Lord Krishna. When the Yadu dynasty was to be vanquished, Ugrasen was entrusted with the iron lump produced from the womb of Tamba. He ground the iron lump into powder and then mixed it with the sea water on the coast of Dwaraka. This is straight from the 11th canto. After this, he ordered complete prohibition within the city of Dwaraka and the kingdom. He got salvation after his death. Baladev is the divine son of Vasudeva by his wife Rohini. He is also known as Rohini Nandan, the beloved son of Rohini. He was also entrusted to Nanda Maharaj, along with his mother Rohini, when Vasudeva embraced imprisonment by mutual agreement with Kamsa. So Nanda Maharaj is also the foster father of Baladev, along with Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna and Lord Baladev were constant companions from their very childhood, although they were stepbrothers. Baladev is the primary manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he is as good and powerful as Lord Krishna. He belongs to the Vishnu Tattva, the principle of Godhead. He attended the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi along with Sri Krishna. When Subhadra was kidnapped by Arjuna by the organized plan of Sri Krishna, Baladev was very angry with Arjuna and wanted to kill him at once. Sri Krishna, for the sake of his dear friend, fell at the feet of Lord Baladev and implored him not to be so angry. Sri Baladev was satisfied because Balaram wanted to give Subhadra to Duryodhana. Similarly, he was once very angry with the Kauravas and he wanted to throw their city into the depths of the Yamuna. This is our 10th canto. But the Kauravas satisfied him by surrendering unto his divine lotus feet. He was actually the seventh son of Devaki prior to the birth of Lord Krishna, but by the will of the Lord, he was transferred to the womb of Rohini to escape the wrath of Kamsa. His other name is therefore Sankarshana. Sankarshana, the one who was attracted to Rohini's womb, who is also the primary portion of Sri Baladev. And there is a Sankarshana Vishnu, who is the primary portion of Sri Baladev. Because he is as powerful as Lord Krishna and can bestow spiritual power to the devotees, he is therefore known as Baladev. In the Vedas, also, it is enjoined that no one can know the Supreme Lord without being favored by Baladev. Nayamatma Balaheenena Labhya. The Supreme Soul cannot be attained by anyone who is devoid of strength. Devoid of strength means devoid of strength from Balaram. Spiritual power. Bala means spiritual strength, not physical. Some less intelligent persons interpret Bala as the strength of the body. And no one can have spiritual realization by physical strength. Physical strength ends with the end of the physical body, but spiritual strength follows the spirit soul to the next transmigration. And therefore, the strength obtained by Baladev is never wasted. The strength is eternal, and thus Baladev is the original spiritual master of all devotees. Sri Baladev was also a class friend of Lord Sri Krishna. As a student of Sandipani Muni, in his childhood, he killed many asuras along with Sri Krishna, and specifically he killed the Dhenukasura at Talavan. During the Kurukshetra battle, he remained neutral and he tried his best not to bring about the fight. He was in favor of Duryodhana, but still he remained neutral. When there was a club fight between Duryodhana and Bhimasena, he was present on the spot. He was angry at Bhimasena when the latter struck Duryodhana on the thigh or below the belt. He wanted to retaliate the unfair action. Lord Sri Krishna saved Bhima from his wrath, but he left the place at once, being disgusted at Bhimasena. And after his departure, Duryodhana fell to the ground to meet his death. The funeral ceremony of Abhimanyu, the son of Arjuna, was performed by him, as he was the maternal uncle. It was impossible to be performed by any one of the Pandavas, who were all overwhelmed with grief. At the last stage, he departed from this world by producing a great white snake from his mouth, and thus he was carried by Sheshanaga in the shape of a serpent. The speciality of Lord Baladev is that he tries to give mercy to those who are neglected by generally neglected by Krishna himself. So you can see that Lord Balaram wants to favor Duryodhana. Okay, here's another question. Also, I heard we should offer prayers to the Lord, but which prayers we should do every day? That can be selected. There are a number of interesting prayers from Bhagavatam or by the previous acharyas that can be selected. In nectar devotion, there is some recommendation. Pradyumna, an incarnation of Kamadeva, or according to others, an incarnation of Sanat Kumar, born as a son of the personality of God Lord Shri Krishna and Lakshmi Devi Srimati Rukmini, the principal queen at Dwaraka. Pradyumna is actually Vishnu Tattva. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. All are Vishnu Tattvas. Vasudeva, in this context, refers to the son of Devaki in Dwaraka. Sankarshana refers to the son of Rohini in Dwaraka. Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Pradyumna is Vasudeva's son, and Aniruddha is Pradyumna's son. They are actually Vishnu Tattvas. However, Kama is present in Pradyumna's body, and therefore, in the Puranas, at times, he is referred to as Kamadeva, because when the demigods interact with him, it is Kamadeva who interacts with them. So like that, Sanat Kumara is also present in his body. He was one of those who went to congratulate Arjuna upon his marrying Subhadra. He was one of the great generals who fought with Shalva, and while fighting with him, he became unconscious on the battlefield. His charioteer brought him back to the camp from the battlefield, and for this action, he was very sorry and rebuked his charioteer. However, he fought again with Shalva and was victorious. Comes in 10th canto. He heard all about the different demigods from Narada Ji. He is one of the 4 plenary expansions of Lord Shri Krishna. He is the 3rd one. He inquired from his father, Shri Krishna, about the glories of the Brahmanas. During the fratricidal war amongst the descendants of Yadu, he died at the hand of Bhoja, another king of the Vrishnis. This is all in Mahabharata. There's one full canto about this. Mausala Parva. After his death, he was installed in his original position. So Kamadeva went back to his post of Kamadeva and so on. Charudeshna, another son of Lord Shri Krishna and Rukmini Devi, he was also present during the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi. He fought with Vidvan and killed him in the battle. Samba, one of the great heroes of the Yadu dynasty, and the son of Lord Shri Krishna by his wife Jambavati. He learned the military art of throwing arrows from Arjuna, and he became a member of parliament during the time of Maharaj Yudhishthira. He was present during the Rajasuya Yajna of Maharaj Yudhishthira, when all the Vrishnis were assembled during the time of Prabhasa Yajna. His glorious activities were narrated by Satyaki before Lord Baladev. He was also present along with his father, Lord Shri Krishna, during the Ashwamedha Yajna performed by Yudhishthira. He was presented before some rishis, falsely dressed as a pregnant woman by his brothers, and in fun he asked the rishis what he was going to deliver. The rishis replied that he would deliver a lump of iron, which would be the cause of fratricidal war in the family of Yadu. Now, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has extensively commented on this incident. And he said, when neophyte devotees of the Lord try to deceive experienced Vaishnava sages, then this is the consequence they will have to face. Something will happen by which these neophyte devotees will quarrel amongst themselves and end up in non-existence. The next day in the morning, Samba delivered a large lump of iron which was entrusted to Ugrasena for necessary action. Actually, later on, there was the foretold fratricidal war, and Samba died in that war. So all these sons of Lord Krishna left their respective palaces and leaving aside all other engagements, including lying down, sitting, and dining, hastened toward their exalted father. Let me look at the acharyas. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, in the start of the purport, when there is a line mentioned that Subhadra was married with her cousin Arjun. So I have two questions here. Was Subhadra Devi, like, she is internal potency of Krishna, she is not a Jiva Tattva? Or is she?
I don't know.
Because we worship in Jagannath Puri, so I was assuming that he might not be Jiva Tattva. And then she was married to her cousin. So this marrying the cousin, was it Vedic? Like nowadays
I told you. When the cousin belonged to a different gotra, then they were married.
Okay.
A boy's father's sister's daughter can be married to that boy. A boy's mother's brother's daughter can be married to that boy. Otherwise, the other type of cousin would be a sister, unmarriageable, cannot enter into a conjugal relationship.
Like socially in North India, Central India, they don't marry like this.
Yeah, that's because it's all Muslim contamination, everything is gone only, that's all.
Yeah, actually, they wanted to shut the Muslim completely up because in the Muslims they marry very, nearby cousins and all those things. Therefore, they made such a rule that no cousins can be married. It's a unofficial rule.
Anyway, but in some parts only that Vedic custom was being followed. I think it is almost extinct now. Now in the age of internet, everyone just falls in love and they marry, unmarry, love, break up, have relationship, get pregnant, don't get pregnant. All kinds of craziness is happening. But when they were much more restrained, these things were taken very seriously. It was a simple way to solve this nuisance of romance, because from birth itself it was arranged. Just like when Kamsa goes to kill the 8th child, and Devaki has a girl baby, and she says, "This girl will become your son's wife. Don't kill her." The same thing. Mothers, brothers, son, marriageable. So it was there in the past because it was fixed from birth itself. It was fixed. So then the boy and girl were fixed. Their minds were locked up. So it was a way, in Tamil Nadu it was going on. Kerala it was going on. I think in the Telugu belt also it was going on.
Prabhu, Mother Devaki and Kamsa, they were real brothers and sisters or cousins?
No, they were cousins. Cousins. because they belong to the same Gotra. Kamsa and Devaki are brother and sister. Cousin brother, cousin sister. Whereas if Devaki had a daughter and Kamsa had a son, that daughter and brother would be cousin non-brother or cousin non-sister.
Okay, bro.
Okay.
Thank you.
श्रेष्ठम आयांतम निशम्य वंदी पर्यंतम अनुवर्तनीयम अतः श्रेष्ठ पदम क्वचित योगार्थेन क्वचित रूढ्या च शरणम्. Everybody went to see Lord Krishna, including the reciters. Preshtham indicates that Krishna was more dear to them than their own selves. Okay, 18. Varanendram puraskritya brahmanais sa sumangalai Shankaturya ninadena brahmagoshena chadrita pratyujagmu ratai hrishta pranayagata sadhvasa. They hastened towards the Lord on chariots with brahmanas bearing flowers and other auspicious items. Before them were elephants, emblems of good fortune. Conch shells and bugles were sounded and Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection. There is Sumangalai with all auspicious signs. Everything is incorporated. Pranayagata sadhvasa indicates that they offered their respects, great respects. Sambhrama indicates great respects. The Vedic way of receiving a great personality creates an atmosphere of respect, which is saturated with affection and veneration for the person received. The auspicious atmosphere of such a reception depends on the paraphernalia described above, including conch shells, flowers, incense, decorated elephants, and the qualified brahmanas reciting verses from the Vedic literatures. Such a program of reception is full of sincerity on the part of both the receiver and the received. It is not duplicity. 19. Varamukhyascha shatasho yanais tad darshanotsuka lasat kundal nirvata kapolak vadanashriyah. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings, which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads. Varamukhya refers to lady dancers and so on. Nartakyaha, they were dancers. Veshya iti ava. It specifically refers to prostitutes. They were all well trained in all these arts. We may not hate even the prostitutes if they are devotees of the Lord. Even today, there are many prostitutes in great cities of India who are sincere devotees of the Lord. By tricks of chance, one may be obliged to adopt a profession which is not very adorable in society, but that does not hamper one in executing devotional service to the Lord. Devotional service to the Lord is uncheckable in all circumstances. It is understood herewith that even in those days, about 5,000 years ago, there were prostitutes in a city like Dwaraka where Lord Krishna resided. This means that prostitutes are necessary citizens for the proper upkeep of society. The government opens wine shops, but this does not mean that the government encourages the drinking of wine. The idea is that there's a class of men who will drink at any cost, and it has been experienced that prohibition in great cities encouraged illicit smuggling of wine. Similarly, men who are not satisfied at home require such concessions as prostitution. And if there's no prostitute, then such low men will induce others into prostitution. It is better that prostitutes be available in the marketplace so that the sanctity of society can be maintained. It's better to maintain a class of prostitutes than to encourage prostitutes within society. The real reformation is to enlighten all people, to become devotees of the Lord, and that will check all kinds of deteriorating factors of life. These prostitutes or drinking of wine, these things were done by the demigods who had descended as the Yadavas. In the Yadav community, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains elsewhere, there were the eternal associates of the Lord from Dwaraka in the spiritual world. There is one group. Then there's another group, the Devamshas, the plenary portions of the demigods, to serve the Supreme Personality of God's mission. They also descended amongst the Yadavas. So they are used to all this. And these prostitutes are not ordinary human prostitutes also. They are also apsaras, qualified to satisfy the demigods. Sri Billavangal Thakur, a great Acharya of the Vishnu Swami Vaishnava sect, in his household life was overly attached to a prostitute who happened to be a devotee of the Lord. One night, when the Thakur came to Chintamani's house, Chintamani was the name of that lady, in torrents of rain and thunder, Chintamani was astonished to see how the Thakur could come on such a dreadful night after crossing a foaming river which was full of waves. He said to Thakur Bilvamangal that his attraction for the flesh and bone of an insignificant woman like her would be properly utilized if it could be diverted to the devotional service of the Lord to achieve attraction for the transcendental beauty of the Lord. It was a momentous hour for the Thakur, and he took a turn towards spiritual realization by the words of a prostitute. Later on, the Thakur accepted the prostitute as a spiritual master, and in several places of his literary works, he has glorified the name of Chintamani, who showed him the right path. In Kerala, they say that Billavangal Thakur came from their region. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.32, the Lord says, O son of Pratha, even the low-born Chandalas, and those who are born in a family of unbelievers, and even the prostitutes, shall attain the perfection of life if they take shelter of unalloyed devotional service to me. Because in the path of devotional service, there are no impediments due to degraded birth and occupation. The path is open for everyone who agrees to follow it. It appears that the prostitutes of Dwaraka, who were so eager to meet the Lord, were all his unalloyed devotees, and thus they were all on the path of salvation according to the above verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, the only reformation that is necessary in society is to make an organized effort to turn the citizens into devotees of the Lord, and thus all good qualities of the denizens of heaven will overtake them in their own way. On the other hand, those who are non-devotees have no good qualifications whatsoever, however they may be materially advanced. This is a paraphrase from a famous 5th canto verse. The difference is that the devotees of the Lord are on the path of liberation, whereas the non-devotees are on the path of further entanglement in material bondage. The criterion of advancement of civilization is whether the people are educated and advanced on the path of salvation. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Prabhuji, when the Yadavas fought among themselves, so they drank some liquor or like some liquid made from putrefied rice. So that was also done only by the Devamsha members or by all the members?
No, the ones who went to Prabhasa and got drunk and all that, they were the Devamshas. We will see that. It will come.
Okay. And Prabhu, this concept of illicit sex won't be applicable with these prostitutes who were apsaras.
No, in the heavenly world, the rules are the rules are a little different. In Swarga, the rules are different. It is not illicit sex for there's a different set of rules. Not exactly. It's not that anyone can. Anyway, it's a little bit complicated. But in general, their laws are different.
Okay.
Those things come in Mahabharata and other places. Some of these devas and apsaras, they actually want to. They're all swanishtas. Swanishtas are, from human birth, then you become a demigod, then you progress, and finally you end up in Brahmaloka. So they're all targeting unalloyed devotion service to Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha. Okay, 20. Natan Nartaka Gandharva Sutamaghavantinah Gayanti Chottama Shloka Charitanyadbhutani cha. Expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, and learned speakers all gave their respective contributions, being inspired by the superhuman pastimes of the Lord. Thus they proceeded on and on. Adbhutani cha. Cha also means etc. or and so on. And it includes the professional reciters. Nataha, Navarasa Abhinaya Chaturaha. The dramatists are those who are expert in acting out the 9 rasas. Taladyanusarani Nityanto Nartakaha. The Nartakas or dancers are the ones who dance in according to specific talas and so on, specific musical arrangements. Gandharvaha Gayakaha. Suta Pauranika Prokta Maghada Vamsha Shamsaka Vandinas Twamala Pragya Prastava Sadashoktayaha. The Sutas speak on the Puranas. The Magadhas, they glorify pious members in one's dynasty. The Vandis. So you have Magadha, professional genealogists, Vandinaha, professional learned speakers. They are very good in bringing about comparisons, and they have spotless intelligence. Te sarve gayanti cha ityanvayaha. So all of them were thinking about the glories of the Lord. Uttamashlokas adbhutani charitani bhaktavatsyalyadini. They specifically were singing about his quality of being a bhaktavatsala and so on. It appears that 5,000 years ago, the society also needed the services of the dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, public speakers, etc. Dancers, singers, and dramatic artists mostly hailed from the Shudra community, whereas the learned historians, genealogists, and public speakers hailed from the Brahmana community. All of them belonged to a particular caste, and they became so trained in their respective families. Such dramatists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, and public speakers would dwell on the subject of the Lord's superhuman activities in different ages and millenniums, and not on ordinary events, nor were they in chronological order. All the Puranas are historical facts described only in relation with the Supreme Lord in different ages and times, as well as on different planets also. Therefore, we do not find any chronological order. The modern historians, therefore, cannot catch up the link, and thus they unauthoritatively remark that the Puranas are all imaginary stories only. Even 100 years ago in India, this is Prabhupada writing in 1959, say 1960s, 100 years ago, 1860s. All dramatic performances were centered around the superhuman activities of the Supreme Lord. The common people would be verily entertained by the performances of dramas and yatra parties played wonderfully on the superhuman activities of the Lord. And thus even the illiterate agriculturist would be a participant in the knowledge of Vedic literature despite a considerable lack of academic qualifications. Therefore, expert players in drama, dancers, singers, speakers, etc. are required for the spiritual enlightenment of the common man. The genealogists would give account completely of the descendants of a particular family. Even at the present moment, the guides in the pilgrimage sites of India submit a complete account of genealogical tables before a newcomer. This wonderful act sometimes attracts more customers to receive such important information. Nartakaha Sangitokta Vidhina Nrityantaha. Dancers are those who dance according to the statements of the Sangita Shastras. One minute. 21. Bhagavams tatra bandhunam pauranam anuvartinam yatha vidyupasangamyas sarvesham manamadadhe. Lord Krishna, the personality of God, had approached them and offered due honor and respect to each and every one of the friends, relatives, citizens, and all others who came to receive and welcome him. Yatha vidhi. Yai saha yathochitam tais tatha samagamam kritva. So he dealt with each person as appropriate. Sarvesham manam adhide kritavan. But he honored everyone. There are different ways of honoring everyone. Authority. The Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, is neither impersonal nor an inert object, unable to reciprocate the feelings of his devotees. Here the word yathavidhi, or just as it behooves, is significant. He reciprocates just as it behooves with his different types of admirers and devotees. Of course, the pure devotees are of one type only, because they have no other object for service, but the Lord. And therefore, the Lord also reciprocates with such pure devotees, just as it behooves. Namely, he is always attentive to all the matters of his pure devotees. There are others who designate him as impersonal, and so the Lord also does not take any personal interest. He satisfies everyone in terms of one's development of spiritual consciousness, and a sample of such reciprocation is exhibited here with his different welcomers. So this is how Krishna deals with all different varieties of devotees, all different grades of devotees. Prabhavivadanaślesha karasparsha smitekshanai ashvasya chashvapakebhyo varaishchabhimater vibhuhu. The Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by bowing his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking with smiles, giving assurances, and awarding benedictions, even to the lowest in the rank. So this shows how he dealt with each one differently. Prahva, by bowing his head. Abhivadana, by greeting with words. Vachanati, he offered respectful greeting with words. Ashwasya bhayam datva, by giving assurances of fearlessness. Shvapakan abhivyapya varaihi abhishtadaneshcha manam kritavan, including those who cook dog flesh. He dealt with them. He honored everyone. He also provided in charity whatever they had asked, whatever they desired. Sri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, Prahvatvam Shirasa Natihi Pitradishu Gargadishu Chas. He bowed his head to his father and others, as well as Garga Muni and other priests, teachers, and so on. So, father figures, teacher figures. Abhivadanam vachanatihi yadu vamshyeshu sthavireshu. He respectfully greeted with words elderly members of the Yadu Vamsha. Ashwapakebhya swapaka paryantanapi janan ashwasya bhayam tatva. And for those dog eaters and so on, he gave them assurances of fearlessness, and by providing what they had desired. Ashleshya karasparsho sameshu. His embracing, shaking hands, that was with his equals. Itareshu smitekshanani. With those who are not elder to him, not senior to him, and those who are not his equals, towards them, he glanced at them with a smile. So this is how he honored everyone. To receive the Lord Sri Krishna, there were all grades of people, beginning from Vasudeva, Ugrasena, and Gargamuni, the father, grandfather, and teacher, down to the prostitutes and the chandalas who were accustomed to eating dogs. And every one of them was properly greeted by the Lord in terms of rank and position. As pure living entities, all are the separated parts and parcels of the Lord, and thus no one is alien by his eternal relation. Such pure living entities are graded differently in terms of contamination of the modes of material nature, but the Lord is equally affectionate to all his parts and parcels, despite material gradation. He descends only to recall these materialistic living beings back to his kingdom. And intelligent persons take advantage of this facility offered by the personality of God to all living beings. No one is rejected by the Lord from the kingdom of God, and it remains with the living being to accept this or not. So the Lord takes care of everyone. Notice that the prostitutes and chandalas are clubbed together. 23. Swayam cha gurubhir viprais saddarais thvirairapi ashirubhir vijyamanon yair vandibhischa vishat puram. Then the Lord personally entered the city accompanied by elderly relatives and invalid brahmanas with their wives, all offering benedictions and singing the glories of the Lord. Others also praised the glories of the Lord. Others refer to the professional reciters. The elderly relatives were his grandfather and so on. The brahmanas in society were never attentive to banking money for future retired life. When they were old invalids, they used to approach with their wives the assembly of the kings, and simply for praising the glorious deeds performed by the kings, they would be provided with all necessities of life. Such brahmanas were not, so to speak, flatterers of the kings, but the kings were actually glorified by their actions, and they were still more sincerely still more encouraged in pious acts by such brahmanas in a dignified way. This is all, in today's world, they call it positive reinforcement. When you do something properly and that is praised, then there is a tendency to repeat it. The Kshatriyas, they're very proud by nature. So if you criticize a Kshatriya, he'll remember it till you die. But if you glorify him, you will not take it very seriously because he thinks that he deserves it. But he'll be encouraged. And therefore, in the Vedic system, that arrangement is that Kshatriya should be glorified. Lord Shri Krishna is worthy of all glories. And the praying brahmanas and others were glorified themselves by chanting the glories of the Lord. Okay, so I'll stop with this. This portion is done today. Tomorrow we'll start with text 24. And the equivalent of that is text 25 here.
Prabhu,
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Prabhu, that prostitute, regarding that keeping the prostitutes, a class of prostitutes in society, if they are not kept, it was mentioned that there will be class of men who will be anyways do such activities. So to protect the disruption in society, such classes kept. But in both the cases, there is illicit sex going on. If he does with prostitutes, then also it's illicit sex. If there are no prostitutes, if he does it with someone
See, the
else's
whole
wife,
idea is to
then also it's illicit sex.
the whole idea is to regulate different grades of human beings. So in Vedic society, you're not only dealing with people who follow four regulative principles. Four regulative principles are meant for brahmanas. So those who don't accept the four regulative principles, they need to be dealt with. So there are different grades. Just like in a school, there are different grades. There are different standards. First standard, second standard, third standard, fourth standard, fifth standard, sixth standard, seventh standard, eighth standard, ninth standard, 10th standard, 11th standard, 12th standard. So like that, there are different grades of human beings. There are those who are completely immoral. There are those who are principled. Principle means they accept some principle. They will not go below that principle. These are the naitikas. These are moral people. Moral means they accept some principle. They will not have a relationship with their mother, their sister, some principle. Or there are people who have some principle that we will not eat certain foods. There are people who have some principle that I can harm anyone, but I will not harm anyone in my country. These are all principles. So then there are those who accept the teachings of religious scriptures as principles to be followed in their life. These are the Seshwara Naitikas, one level higher than that. They are more restricted. They at least recognize that there is one supreme Godhead. So at least you can see some beginning of Vairagya Vidya and Bhakti. Then superior to them are those who accept the teachings of the Vedas as the scriptural principles to be followed in their lives. These are the karmis. Then there are those who are interested in the sattvic Vedic scriptural principles as meant to be followed by them. These are the Jnanis. Then you come to the status of the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Bhagavatas, the devotees, the Vaishnavas. They accept the pure scriptural teachings of the Vedic scriptures as binding principles in their lives. Amongst them, there are different grades. There are sadhakas, there are those engaged in sadhana bhakti, those engaged in bhava bhakti, those engaged in prema bhakti. So all of them need to be placed in their respective positions so that they don't prevent upward mobility. How do you help these people move up, 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 up? So for that, they are graded. So those who are sinful people, they are kept in the kingdom. But you don't prevent a sinless person. You don't make a sinless person into a sinful person. That is the whole point. You do your nonsense, but we'll give you a space for it. So there were meat eaters also. So there were meat eaters, there were drunkards, there were woman hunters, there were gamblers. All these people are there. But they were all kept in their particular places so that they don't spoil the ones who are higher. That's all. Just like in a school, we have an arrangement that those who are in lower standards, lower grades, they are kept, physically they are separated. Physically they are separated. It's very important to physically separate. If you don't physically separate, it becomes a big mess. The same way, in communities which followed Vedic Dharma, this physical arrangement was there. Prabhupada also in his master plan, he had this. For ISKCON's own initiated devotees, he had the Brahmana devotees will live in one place, the Kshatriya devotees will live in another place, the Vaishya devotees will live in another place, the Shudra devotees will live in another place. For Mayapur, Prabhupada wanted a jail also. So everything, he considered all these things. Okay?
Thank you, bro.
All right. Ancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyo vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.